Life on the Alberta Prairie. The wide, open spaces of Alberta's prairie stretch as far as the eye can see, with the wind always present, like an invisible spirit that watches over everything. It's more than just weather out here. It's a part of life, shaping the land and the people who live on it. For generations, families have survived on this land, learning its secrets and respecting its power. This story follows one such family, starting in the year 1923 with a boy named Finn, and continuing through decades of change, struggle, and hope. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Alberta Blue Collar Podcast. Stories like this gives us the knowledge of Alberta's history. Enjoy. The harshness of prairie life. Back in 1923, Finn was just a young teen living with his father on a ranch that felt more like a tiny island in a sea of grass. The prairie was huge and wild, with weather that could change everything in a moment. One day it could be dry and dusty, the next buried in snow. Summers burned and winters froze. Yet Finn, even as a kid, already knew the rhythm of ranch life. Up before the sun, days spent in the saddle, mending fences, herding cattle. It was hard, honest work. Lessons from a weathered father. Finn's father was the kind of man the land makes, tough, quiet, and strong. He didn't say much, but when he did, Finn listened. He taught Finn how to care for cattle, respect the earth, and survive the extremes of prairie life. Their ranch was everything. It wasn't just home, it was their legacy. Every acre had been won through sweat, and every post in the barbed wire fence held a story of effort and endurance. Ranchers' brotherhood. Living on the prairie wasn't just about working hard. It was also about helping your neighbors. The ranchers around Finn's home formed a tight community. They branded cattle together, fixed fences for one another, and celebrated the good times when they came. Everyone shared the same struggles and joys, and that built a strong bond. Stories passed down from grandmother. Finn's grandmother added something else to his life: stories. She talked about the First Nations who had lived on the land long before settlers arrived, and about the early pioneers who dared to build a new life here. Her tales made the land feel even more alive, like every breeze carried memories, and every hill had its own legend. These stories became a part of Finn, deepening his respect for the prairie and those who had come before. Finn takes charge. As Finn grew older, he started taking on more duties around the ranch. He learned how to break wild horses, rope cattle, and read signs in the sky that told of coming storms. The land became a part of him. He didn't just live on the prairie, he understood it. Finding love and starting a family. Eventually, Finn met Clara, a strong and capable woman who shared his love for ranch life. They married and built a life together, raising children who, like their parents, grew up with a deep connection to the land. They taught their kids the same values: hard work, respect for nature, and pride in their heritage. From horses to tractors. As the years rolled on, life on the ranch started to change. The world outside wasn't standing still. Horses were replaced by cars and tractors, making some chores easier, but also changing the way people lived and worked. Towns grew larger with more stores, schools, and noise. The impact of World War II. Then came World War II, a shadow that stretched even across the prairies. Young men left their farms to fight overseas, including Finn's son, Caleb. When he returned, he was different, older, quieter, and marked by what he had seen. War had changed him, but the ranch brought him back to life slowly. The land, once again, healed a part of the family. Returning home after war. When Caleb returned from the war, the Alberta Prairie was still the same in many ways. The wind still whispered through the grass, and the cattle still roamed the open fields. But Caleb had changed. The battles he had faced overseas had left invisible marks. He carried the weight of what he had seen and done, and though he was grateful to be home, peace didn't come easily. Still, the land had a way of pulling people back. The long, quiet days and the steady rhythm of ranch life gave Caleb space to heal. Working with the cattle, mending fences, and watching the sunrise over the prairie helped him find balance again. He started to rebuild not just the ranch, but also himself. Generational differences on the ranch. As time passed, Caleb began to take more control of the ranch, but he brought new ideas with him. He had seen how technology and innovation could change lives. He introduced better tools, improved cattle breeding methods, and thought about new ways to farm. Finn, set in his traditional ways, didn't always agree. Father and son argued, each believing their way was best. But despite the tension, their love for the land held them together. They might not have always seen eye to eye, but both understood the value of hard work and the importance of preserving the ranch. Over time, Caleb's ideas began to blend with Finn's experience, creating a stronger, more adaptable family business. Education and a wider world. Then came Sarah, Caleb's daughter, and Finn's granddaughter. Sarah grew up on the ranch but had dreams that stretched far beyond the horizon. She went to university, explored big cities, and studied things her grandparents had never even imagined: environmental science, sustainable agriculture, and digital technology. She saw a different world than the one her family had grown up in. Climate change, market instability, and land degradation were just some of the challenges that modern ranchers had to face. Sarah knew that to keep the ranch alive, it couldn't stay stuck in the past. Bringing innovation home. Still, Sarah never forgot where she came from. After university, she made a choice that surprised many. She returned home, not to take over the ranch, but to work alongside her father. She wanted to bring her education and modern ideas back to the place that had shaped her. Sarah started making changes. She looked into renewable energy options like wind and solar to power the ranch. She introduced apps and software to track cattle health, weather patterns, and grazing schedules. She also encouraged her family to use more sustainable practices that protected the land and supported biodiversity. Greener ranching practices. Sarah believed that the ranch could honor its history while still moving forward. She promoted rotational grazing, which helped prevent overuse of pasture land. She planted native grasses that were better for the environment and healthier for the cattle. She even began working with local schools and organizations to educate others about eco-friendly farming. These changes weren't always easy. Some of the older ranchers nearby didn't understand her methods at first, but Sarah kept at it, proving through results that her approach worked. Her cattle were healthier, her land was more resilient during dry spells, and the ranch was using fewer resources while producing better outcomes. Balancing progress and preservation. For Sarah, it was never about replacing tradition. It was about combining the best of the past and the present. She respected the lessons passed down from Finn and Caleb. Their wisdom was still at the heart of everything the family did, but she also knew that to survive the future, the ranch had to evolve. Technology wasn't the enemy, it was a tool, and when used wisely, it could help ensure that the ranch remained a part of Alberta's landscape for generations to come. 4 generations strong. Now, the ranch is more than just a piece of land. It's a living story, one that stretches back to the 1920s and continues into the future. Finn's sweat, Caleb's vision, and Sarah's innovation have all shaped it. Each generation has faced its own battles, but each has also found strength in the soil beneath their feet. The ranch stands as proof of what families can accomplish when they stay connected to each other and to the land. The wind that once tousled Finn's hair now brushes against Sarah's as she walks the fields, a reminder of the past and a promise for the future. The ranch as a symbol of resilience. Through blizzards, droughts, wars, and shifting economies, the ranch has endured. It's a symbol of Alberta's rural heart, a place where history and progress coexist, where stories are told not just in words, but in the way a fence is built or a calf is cared for. The family continues to thrive, not by ignoring change, but by embracing it with courage and respect. The legacy lives on, carried by those who love the land and believe in the power of hard work, family, and hope. Winds of change and tradition. The wind still blows across the Alberta Prairie, whispering tales of those who came before. It carries the strength of Finn, the resolve of Caleb, and the vision of Sarah. Their story is not just about ranching, it's about resilience, tradition, and the courage to grow without forgetting where you started. This ranch, rooted in the past and reaching for the future, is a living example of how families can adapt. I hope you enjoyed this story of our loved ranchers in Alberta, who feed us and the world the best beef you could ever find. Keep your stick on the ice and the shiny side up, Papa Fuzzy out.